Evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks very much for attending an evening with John Still, brought to you by the Luton Town Supporters Trust. Before we get into it with the great man himself, as you'll be aware, the Trust have got a new chairman taken over from Tony Murray recently. That man is Paul Stevens, to my left.
Oh, it's better looking.
And before we begin, Paul's just got a few words that he'd like to say.
Thank you, Kevin. I will keep it nice and short, but I am delighted and honoured to fill the vacancy of Chairman of Luton Town Sports Trust. I see a few of you at home and away games up and down the country, so if you do see me, come and have a chat. I'd just like to ask Tony to come up the front, please, and have a photograph taken with John Still, and for all of you to give him a huge round of applause for what he's done for Luton Town Sports Trust. Tony Murray. I'm going to take the phone as well. I'm multitasking. So, there you go. Thank you. Brilliant. Thank you. Yeah. I just want to, people have asked, you know, what I'm going to try and do as chairman with the board's support. The big changes I'm going to try and bring in over the next few months is I want to involve you, the members, in more decisions. So the first two strands of that, on the 27th of March, you've all been invited to come here and discuss our strategy. Because it is our strategy, it's the members' strategy, not a few people in the dark room making it up. So those of you who come in, look forward to seeing you on the 27th. Anyone who's not booked in, please speak to myself and we can get you booked in. So that's going to be our strategy on the journey to Power Court. Also, members will have a say in picking the charity of the year, so that will be coming out for a vote for members to vote on in April, so you can choose which charity we support. I want to build, and I've met with Gary already, I want to build a positive, honest, but also a challenging relationship with the football club so that we can all move forward in partnership. So I'll keep you informed on how that goes. And let's remember the position we're in. Apart from our league position, this club's in a really, really strong position. Power Court is on the horizon, and hopefully Category 2. So let's be positive about the future of this fantastic football club. So if you want to speak about anything, I'm always open to have a chat. I'm now going to hand you over for the purpose of today, Kevin and John.
Thanks, Paul. Well done, and all the best in your role as chairman. And once again, round of applause for Tony, the outgoing chairman. Brilliant. Okay, we've got you all here this evening to hear from the great man, the man who turned this ship around and got us in the right direction, John Still. Round of applause for. it's an honour to sit up here alongside you. Thanks so much for giving us your time this evening. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, I really appreciate you inviting me, and it's never hard to come back to Luton. I had a fantastic time here, and to see so many people again here. I've been to a few games, but as I say, it's always a pleasure to come back here, always.
I'm going to get your sort of thoughts on what's going on at the minute a little bit later, but you know, exactly. Let's start off with a more positive outlook though. The conference winning season, I mean, it was a season that many people in here will always remember. It was coming up to 11 years to that special afternoon where we lifted the conference trophy against Forest Green, and everything that's gone on between it. You know, those of you that are on social media, I'm sure you get reminders every day of great games that happened in that season. But the first thing I'd like to ask you, John, is obviously we ended up winning the conference by quite a distance, but at the start of the season when you took the team to Southport for that first game, how confident were you that what was about to happen would happen?
It's difficult, you know. I really always have had great belief in myself. That's not me trying to be flash, because I'm not like that. I really always believe that what I'm doing is the right thing to do and the right way of doing it. It isn't always correct, but I always believe it. And when I came to Luton, I left the club that I support. With great respect, I support Dagenham, I support West Ham. As a kid, that's been, and when the opportunity came for me to come here, I did ask a few people. I spoke. I wasn't sure, and I'll be honest. Of the people I spoke to, respected people. Someone very close to his club, by the way, as well. No one really told me to do it. They said, "Well, it's a bit of a poison chalice. The expectations are high. They're this, that," and this is a God's truth. That's the reason I come, because people thought I couldn't do it, and I knew I could. Honestly, that's what I thought. I knew I could. I wouldn't say that I set out going, I'm going to win the league this season. And I said this to the club when I come. I think I can do it. But it's not going to be a quick fix, because I have a way of doing it. I've always worked reasonably the same way, and I touch wood. It has honestly never let me down. I think the clubs I've managed and been to have always reached the potential that they would expect to reach. I spent obviously a lot of time at Dagenham, taking a small club, that is a small club, a special club by the way, from the National League to Div 2 and to Div 1. Will never leave me. That was special. Going back a few years to Maidstone, to winning the league, they're all special moments. But coming here, I just felt that this could be... I knew the story of Luton, and people told me the story of Luton and reminded me of the story of Luton, having points taken off and getting inducted, and everyone hated the Football League and used to sing nasty songs about the Football League.
That's not changed, John, believe me, that's not changed. If anything, they've got nastier. And
gradually I found myself singing them to myself. But I just felt, if I could do that, you know, what a thing, and I thought, no, I'm going to do this. When we went to Southport, first game of the season, which wasn't great, and we weren't great for a few games. But I'm going to be honest, I really thought we would win the league. I really did. I knew I had the players that I wanted, barring one that gradually we got when we brought Paul Benson in. I could have brought someone else in, but I waited to get Paul Benson for two reasons. He was a proper centre forward, and he knew me, he'd played for me, and I knew what he could bring to the team. And I just felt it would be a matter of time before it clicked into gear. And as with other teams, I knew when it clicked into gear, we would take some beating. That's how I really felt. But as I said, it might have taken us till Christmas to click in, and we might not have won the league If we hadn't, I think we'd have run away with it the following year. And along the way, things happened, and sometimes people say, "Do you think you should do this? Do you think that maybe we've got to do that?" But I knew exactly what I wanted, and I knew exactly how to work to get it. And touch wood, it worked. Worked for me, but the greatest thing always worked for you. This is, I always say, managers, we're just brought in to look after the football team. This is your club, and honestly, the satisfaction of seeing so many of you people at the reception on the Sunday after we won the league was a highlight of my life. It really was.
You mentioned that it wasn't all plain sailing at the start. It changed at Wrexham away, didn't it? We were pretty ordinary, let's be honest, on that Friday night. But then that was the start of that unbeaten run. Did something change from within that night?
Yeah, I knew that I had the players. I was a bit fortunate that I came in before the end of the season, so I could sort out the players that I thought could do what I wanted and the players that couldn't. So I was a bit fortunate there, and I just felt it might take players that are used to playing a certain way a bit of time to get used to what we're asking. So I was ready for that. And when we finished the game at Wrexham, I remember doing after the game chat with somebody saying, "I think I've seen something that I believe if I change could make a difference." And it was a positional change of Luke Gutteridge, of playing with a loose player off the front, because we was getting into the right areas. We had someone ready to play the right pass to get our movements going, and touch wood, it happened straight away. As soon as I changed it, things changed, and I think we went on a great run. But I think the best teams that haven't always got to play great, and I just felt, I used to call it magic moments. We would have magic moments in games where we score 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 goals in 20 minutes, and that's all because the players knew exactly what to do. Everyone knew their job, and they get so confident in it. They score again. And watching it, to be honest, I used to love watching us play. I loved watching us play. And when I used to go home, and I used to get the game sent to me as well to watch it back, and I used to bore myself watching it again, because I just used to love how we played. And it wasn't the winning of it; it was the biggest unbeaten run the league had ever had. 100 goals, 100 points, all them things just made everything just gel together to make it an extra special season. And well, it was wonderful, wasn't it? It was just a great time. But just on to finish it off, and this is 100%. It's not because I'm here with yous. It was for yous that I just had a feeling that yous people deserved this, and I was delighted to be the person that was able to help you, because I didn't do it on my own. I had fantastic staff with me. We had, after a little bit of 1 or 2 things with supporters, we got that support. No, listen, we were all supporters. I'm a supporter of Dagenham and West Ham, and I get the ump when things don't look good. But once we got the support together, we were just unstoppable. And everybody, everybody has a part to play. I always say that, football isn't just one on the pitch. It appears to be one on the pitch, but it's not. It's one on the training ground. It's one in the gym. It's one that all different places where everybody has a part to play, and no part is any bigger than the other. I'm going to bore you with a quick story, if I may, which got me to this. Sorry about this, but many years ago, being a West Ham supporter, I had some pals that played for West Ham, Frank Lampard, Ronnie Boyce. I used to know John Lyle. I used to go over there now and again. I was just a young manager then. And I was in John Lyle's office one day, and someone said something. He said, "No, I won't be in tomorrow." He said, "On Monday." He said, "I've got to do this." And I went, does that make a difference when you're not here, John? I said, you're the manager. He went, no, if I don't do it, he said, Eddie Bailey's here, Eddie's been here years, he knows exactly what to do, he says, so no problems there. He said, and Ronnie Boyce, he said, if Eddie's not here, Ronnie Boyce, he's been here, played here, done this one, and you know, he'll know exactly what to do. He said, and you've got Ronnie that does all the changing rooms, he's been here, he said, and he can take all the sessions, he knows exactly what to do. He said, so when it comes about being important, let me tell you about what's important, he said. If the ladies, can I use a swear word? He went, if the kit man don't turn up, we're all fucked. No one knows where the kit is. No one knows where the washing machine. No one knows where the key is. No one can get in there if she won't give no one a key. So if the kit man don't turn up, we can't do nothing. And you know what? He stayed with me. How important is the people that do the food for the players, the people that clean the changing rooms, and so things are done properly. Everyone plays a part. And I remember saying at the end of that season that, well done the players, well done the staff, well done me, but well done everybody. Everyone's a vital component at a football club, and although people don't see it, I think the people that do the jobs really do see behind the scenes and how important it is that everybody does the job.
Was there a game in that unbeaten run where you thought, yeah, we're definitely going to win the league now? For me, it's when we went to Alfreton just before Christmas, 4-0 up after 20 minutes or something like that. I think they were 3rd or 4th at the time, going really well. Cambridge weren't playing that day, I remember it vividly. They were involved in the cup and we could close the gap on them. And we absolutely steamrolled them. And I thought on that day, that was the day that it turned for us in terms of winning the title.
Excuse me. Yeah, it was. I thought that was an exceptional performance where we looked better than good. So I wouldn't say that I went on going and say, yeah, we'll win it now. I'm not saying I wasn't confident we'd win it, but I don't think I actually said it. I knew when we beat Cambridge there was no way that we was ever going to get caught. I knew there's no way that we were ever going to get caught from that game. Because we equalised so late, and I think that actually deflated them a little bit. It could have been 1-1 the other way and they scored late, and that would have given them a little bit. But I think we just destroyed everything. And when I went home that day, I actually went home and I couldn't sleep. It's an evening. I couldn't sleep because I knew then that we would have to collapse, and we were too good to collapse. And even if we did collapse, I wasn't sure they could even catch us then.
And that night was kind of a testament to the squad strength, really, wasn't it? You brought Cameron McGeehan off the bench that night, you brought Mark Cullen off the bench that night, one heads down for the other to score, and that's what that team did, didn't it? Even when it was getting pushed and it wasn't winning games, it went right to the very end, and it turned defeats into draws into wins, and eventually it all added up to that fantastic season that we had.
Yeah, I think that, I think we had players that can cater for all different things. I mean, I look back and I can't really explain it to myself sometimes, but some games we had 3 midfield players, Pelly Ruddock, Matt Robinson and Cameron McGeehan. I think the oldest one was 20. But they could all run, they could all challenge, they all had enthusiasm. And without those characters, you can't win anything. You've got to have ability, but ability alone is never enough. And I remember a game here, I think it was against Hereford, where every time we attacked, I thought we was going to score. Seriously, I think we won 6, was it 6, 7? But we got to a stage where every time we got in there, I thought, because we was just running past them, the power of our players. We had good changes in the team. When you think of Cully, when Cully sometimes couldn't get in the team, we had Andre and Paul Benson, and we had Lawless. We had good attacking players and strong midfield players. Jonathan Smith, so underrated by lots of people, but we had so much energy to if we lost the ball, we won it back. We used to have this thing about winning a ball back in so many seconds if we lose it. Early on in the season, we wasn't quite getting to where we hoped we would get to get the ball back, but gradually it just fell into place, and I just felt that, you know, it was going to be our time. I just felt it. I did. I felt it for quite some time, but actually going home, going, we've got this. I would say Cambridge.
And then, of course, a few weeks later, Cambridge lost when we wasn't playing, and we had the celebrations.
Was it good?
Absolutely brilliant. Yeah. And then, of course, that following Saturday, we was at Welling. Place was full of Luton fans, absolutely packed. Brilliant afternoon. And then it came down to Easter Monday, didn't it? Forest Green at home, the day that we got the trophy, the day that the non-league hell, for the want of a better word, was ended.
Got beat by Braintree, didn't we?
We did. Skipped over that though. The Forest Green day was just brilliant. Sitting in the Kenilworth End, it's a day that I'll never ever forget, and I'm sure everyone here who was here that day will never forget it either. But as the man who led us to that, what did it mean? What did all of that celebration, the scenes and everything, the game of football itself was brilliant as well. What did that mean to you?
Yeah, I mean the realisation that you've won the league, and the celebrations of supporters, you know, they're just special. They're special moments. You know, you go through your life, for all of us, not just football. We just go, and you can think of special moments. I know, like for mums and dads, when your children are born, isn't it? Or when your daughter gets married, and all that sort of stuff. They're all special moments that you never forget, and you know, it's a moment that will never leave me. I can actually remember things that happened on that day. I can remember behind me someone moaning about the way we were playing in the first half. I can. I won't tell you what I said to him. I thought we won the league and he's moaning about how we're playing today. Anyway, it's another story. But I can remember the celebration. One of my granddaughters, and I still have it on my phone, come on the pitch with the thing around, and I gave it to her not that long ago actually. And just special things. I can look back and remember who I spoke to and some of the things that I said, and it will stay with me, as I'm sure that they will stay with supporters here, like it did when you got in the Premier League. You know, it's just special. And when people ask me about it, I've been lucky I've won the National League 3 times, so I've been lucky. And everyone's got a special part of it. So I have been lucky, but I always say that it's great that whoever you are, you can look back at a time and think, how good was that? And I look back at that time here, we've used fantastic supporters, fantastic players, and with David at the back there, honestly, I was fantastically backed by the board of directors here, really, really was. And to give all, like me, the players, the supporters, the directors, that special moment, it never leaves you. It doesn't. It never ever leaves you. And sometimes you're doing something that isn't even involved with this club, and something happens, and it sparks a memory of where you were at that time at Luton, what happened at that time at Luton.
And your mum got another plaque on her wall.
Yes.
Do you remember that?
Yes. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Well, forward.
That got us back into the Football League, John. One of the many good things this football club did was invite you to Wembley 2 years ago, because you were the man that started that journey. What did that mean to you, that 10 years on almost, that the club still thought enough of you to invite you to the next truly, truly great day that this club had, the playoff finals?
Yeah, obviously it was an unbelievable thing for the club to do. It really was. You know, I said the club don't owe me anything. I come here to do a job that they wanted to be done, and touch wood, I was able to do that job, and that was brilliant. So to be invited along to that special occasion, me and my son, me and Robert, who's the bar up there, was a special day for both of us. A special day to see the team win. A special day for this club to have made the fantastic journey from the National League to the Premier League, which in my opinion, I don't think it'll ever happen again. I really don't. I think that what you've achieved is just incredible. in 5, 10, 15 years time, someone might write make a film about that, because it's that big a thing. And to have one soppy bloke called Penny Ruddock be able to go all the way through, and you know what? I can remember the first day he came in. I'd seen him training a couple of times at West Ham. I quite liked him, and when I can remember him when he came in with his mum, and Penny spoke once, his mum spoke forever. If he comes here, will you look after my son? I said, if he comes here, I'll make sure I speak to him every day and ask him if he's all right. She said he needs a clip now and again. But to do that, for me, as I say, just to be part of that journey, and I'm honest when I say this, only a part, trust me, only a part, but a part. I'm very lucky because I've got so many memories, you know, to look back on as I get older, to keep me happy, to keep me happy. And I'm not saying every Saturday at 6 o'clock, but by and large, Saturday at 6 o'clock, and sometimes on a Tuesday at 9:30, 10. West Ham, Dagenham, Luton. That's my three. This became a special place for me because being a football supporter as well as a manager, I appreciated what you must have felt when you come out of the league through not on the pitch stuff. And you know, if someone asked my opinion, I don't know the full story, I would say no, I don't think teams should be thrown out of a league for things that that's not under their control, because you know what, owners, and I say this with great respect, owners, managing that's all we are. We ain't supporters, you know. What managers manage teams they support? Very few. But it's your club, and for you to have been punished the way you were, I didn't agree with at all, and that's why it gave me the extra edge, if you like, to say we need to get ourselves together and do this, because I think it will stay with all of us, all that team. You know, I speak to a lot of those players, still do, and they all talk about right and a wrong, and all talking about special moments in their careers. And as I said, it has affected everybody that was probably involved in that season. For you to get back into the Football League was probably everything you would have hoped for. I don't know if any of you would have thought that you would get into the Premier League. Seriously, I don't. The fact you did is a compliment to everybody involved in that. And all right, ain't quite gone so well that, but you've got over bigger things than that, and you'll get over what you're going through now. You will do, because you care. Sorry?
The hangovers were quite bad.
Listen, it's football, you know, it's ups and downs, and I always say never too high with the ups and never too low with the downs. Treat them both the same, both imposters. And gradually you'll find Luton at the level that you honestly believe and should be at, because you're a fantastic football club with fantastic support. You can't ask for more than that.
I remember in the lead up to that player final, the club had a media day in this very room, and you and Pelly Ruddock were together for the first time since you left, and it was just, I was one of the, in amongst the journalists waiting to do something else, and it was just a really special moment that you and him shared, and I'm so glad that, you know, that you were a part of all of that. I really, really was. That team is still influencing our club today. Benno is heading up the academy.
I know, I speak to him pretty regularly and he bores me with it.
Alex Lawless, the under-21 manager. Ronnie Henry's recently come in as a coach of the academy as well. And I can't flick on my television, John, without seeing one of your former players playing in the game. Last night I put Rotherham Wickham on. There's Pelly Ruddock and Pansy playing. The other week I saw Cameron McGeehan scoring for Northampton, and this is like 11 years on. It must give you so much pleasure and pride seeing these guys go on to still do great things in the game a decade on.
I think that because one of my things was always like young, hungry players, which is probably why we ended up, I know Matt was here before I come, but Cameron coming here, Pelly coming here, Jack Marriott came here as a young one. Who else did I? Sorry? Elliot come. Yeah, his dad made me bring him, by the way, Rob.
Potsy as well, who was part of the
I still see Potsy, and I'm quite close to his dad. And I just feel that that group of young, hungry, ambitious players can take you a long way. And they'll move on at different times, and they're all have had terrific careers. And it's part of the job that I think makes it really enjoyable when you're not as involved as you were, like myself, that I can perhaps go around and see games now when I see some of my old players playing, and playing well, you know, and nothing better than seeing them fulfil the potential that you hope they would do.
And there was one person in that team in particular that sort of got cold status with the fans, Steve McNulty. He was here before you arrived. Paul Buckle signed him. When you walked in and saw us play at Braintree that first afternoon before you actually fully took over and you saw Steve, I mean, what's your instant reactions there? Because, you know, as an opposition fan, you're thinking, what's going on here? But when he's your player, you know exactly how good he is.
I had seen Steve play before. I wouldn't say I was a fan. I wouldn't say that I was a fan. And I came to the Braintree game with Terry Harris, and true story. We got in the car afterwards. I said, "Ring Dagenham, tell him we're coming back."
Thank God they didn't answer.
He was unbelievable. Macca was. You know what I liked about him? He was a man. He never let anybody get away with anything. Don't care what it was. If someone come in and something wasn't right, he'd be on them. I got into a situation at half time of not going in straight away. I used to stay outside the dressing room, or sometimes just sit on the bench when we was away and go in after about 5 minutes. And when I got in there, everything was done. He sorted everyone out, and I could, when you can feel the emotion in somewhere. You could walk in and you knew something had gone on, and
the blood.
But he was self-critical as well. Just because I'm playing like a tosser, don't mean to say you should be playing. And your mate's a tosser, and he's a tosser. And he was, you know what? He was the heartbeat of the team. He was a fantastic leader. He was a terrific player. People used to say to me, "He ain't got no pace, has he?" I go, "Try beating him. Try beating him." I was saying, "You try beating him." And he was, without a doubt, the heartbeat of the team. I think we were. I'm not going to say lucky, because I'll be honest, I'm not a person who believes in luck. I think the harder you work, the more things go for you. I don't really believe in that. But I think that having Macca, Ronnie Henry, Luke Gutteridge and Paul Benson, 4 men, leaders that Benno would sort out what was not getting the ball in the box quick enough, get the ball in the box quick enough. Gut saying, get the ball moving midfield a bit better. Macca and Ronnie going, "Hey, a bit tighter at the back, get closer to each other, no gaps, keep the distance." They managed the game on the pitch, they did. And I just felt that Macca was a catalyst for lots of good things that were achieved that year, I really do.
Your keeper weren't bad either, was he?
Really, I mean, I gave Tyler his debut at Peterborough when I managed Peterborough. He was, I think, 17. Good. And goalkeeper was injured. And I had another goalkeeper, excuse me, more experience than that, but I played Tyler. And he was terrific. He was terrific for me at Peterborough. And when I first came here, him being here made me realise that I haven't got to mess about with goalkeepers. We had a couple, and I ended up bringing a boy called Elliot Justin here, who's done unbelievably well. He's left Dagenham, done unbelievable, done fantastic there, and done okay for us here. But Tiles was, he was a true professional, true professional, and once again, is a player that should be remembered fondly here, because he was here for a while, wasn't he? And saw some of the not so good moments, and so he deserved his moment in the sun without a doubt.
Is there a place in the modern game for a Stephen McNulty, or has the game just moved on now? Would he still be accepted?
100%. You know, sometimes players are labelled wrongly sometimes, but they're labelled. I think that you can cut away some of them. What Macca was a winner. He was a winner. He had a winning attitude. He knew how to play the game. I'm talking about the levels now. He's never going to play in the Premier League. Of course he isn't. But the maximum level that he can play, which I would have thought, to be honest, would be Div 1, Div 2. He'd be playing there and be top man without any doubt whatsoever. He just knew how to play that position, but he knew how to organise people that were playing around him to play their position, and that's a massive thing, you know. It really is. It's a massive thing to have. People talk about there's no leaders now in football. You know, football's gone soft because of academies and that is true to a certain extent. To be honest, it is true. Like sometimes you take players on loan. We took the boy Bim from here, who was a lovely lad, by the way, and he didn't fall into this category, but I won't name the player. We took a player who's a decent player now on loan, one of my former clubs, and he wanted everything done for him every day. Who does this? Who does that? Who does this? And I say, you do. You do it. He goes, yeah, but when I was at so and so, I go, hold on, you ain't at so and so. Now you're here. You've got to be one of us. We ain't going to be one of you. 20 people are not going to change for you. You've got to change for that. And training grounds is a bit hard. The pitch is a bit hard, isn't it? It doesn't walk with a bit. But that's that's not blaming him. That's blaming the upbringing he's probably been given. So yeah, a bit difficult sometimes. But a lot of these players, a lot of these young players. I went when I was here. Ugo Ekiog, who was the reserve team manager at Tottenham, who was a good friend of mine, and we loaned a player from Tottenham, a winger, England under-18 international. Can't remember his name.
Nathan Adua, was it?
Nathan Adua, well done, Nathan Adua, and he was a lovely lad. He was a lovely boy, by the way. So anyway, we loaned him, and Ugo rings me up one day and says, "John," he says, "any chance of coming over and having a chat with our under-23 players, anyone who's under 23, he went, tell them a bit about the real world." He said, because Nathan comes in now and again when he's not training with you, he says Wednesday off, but he comes in here and everyone asks him what it's like there and he tells them different things. He says, but can you come in and tell them? Oh, I'll come. And I went over with Hack, who worked with me and Terry, and we went in this room. There's all these blokes sitting there, all these boys sitting there, and I said and Hugo said to me, he said to them, they're all internationals at either schoolboy level, under 18s, under 19s, everyone in the area is an international player. And he said, none of them's ever going to play in the first team. That's what he told me. He said, none of them got any chance. So the first thing I said to him is like, so all you who like Tottenham people, it's your club and that. So how many of you feel like you're nearly at the stage you can play in the first team? Every hand went up, seriously. Every single hand went up. There was one player there afterwards that Ugo said to me, John, that one, he said, so he might, but only if we get really bad injuries, but no one else has got any chance. And what he said to me, he said, they always ask him how he is at Luton, and he was 6'1", Nathan. And he went, well, it's really weird, he said, because when the other team have a corner, the manager said to me, he wants me to come back, stand on the near post, and if that ball comes in, I've got to challenge and head it. He said, and all the boys went to him. He didn't, did he? He went, he did. He did. He went, and the first ball coming, he's gone over my head, and the other one's coming. He said, I've headed it. And they went, no, you didn't. You headed it. He went, yeah. He went, well, you have to head the ball. He went, yeah. And then went, the manager here now, this isn't my thing, said, we don't do no heading. We don't do no heading practice. We don't do heading in training. We don't, no one. He went, so heading the ball's foreign to him, he wouldn't have a clue. And I was shocked. Don't head the ball.
It is, yeah. I mean, kind of goes to show really why maybe they're struggling right now, doesn't it? Speaking of struggling, John, obviously this hasn't been the season that we've wanted on the pitch. You know, we find ourselves much lower down the championship table than many of us expected, and certainly that we wanted. But you followed the club this season. What have you made of this season? It's been a tough one on the pitch.
Yeah, it has. You know, I think sometimes you can get into a situation where the euphoria of getting in the Premier League, and to be honest, because something's so close to staying in it, so close to staying in it, I think can have a difficult effect on people's mentality. And maybe your season never started when your season should have done. You probably started on a low. And I don't, it's really, honestly, it's so difficult to not be in there every day seeing, but I had come to get a really good relationship with Rob. I did, and I still do have, and I speak to Mick reasonably often. I do, and I think the same goes for them. No one can put their finger on it. It's really difficult because Sheffield United come down as well up there. Well, some of you may or may not know, I am as close to Chris Wilder as probably any other friend I've got. I've known Chris for years and years and years. And when I talk to him how well they're doing, it makes me a little bit low that Luton are not doing as well as they're doing, because they're doing brilliant. But I think they were always going down where Luton might have just stayed up, and I just think it shows, you know, players are, you know, difficult to pick themselves up sometimes, and you know, you just hope that as time goes on they pick themselves up and go, and unfortunately it meant in Rob leaving, who is a terrific man, who done a terrific job, but football's football. We all know that when you don't win enough games, it's time to go. Doesn't make you the worst manager in the world. The same as if you get success, it don't make you the best manager in the world. It just makes you a manager that's done a good job at a certain time. But like all yous, I have my fingers crossed when I put my phone on to see how the results have gone, and I'm disappointed when it hasn't been a favourable result. But knowing football, I think there's teams in this league, and I think Luton is one of them, and I don't see obviously much of Luton, but why can't you win 2, 3, 4, 5 games on the trot if you get yourself into a groove? Why not? Someone will. Someone will, and I'm really hoping it's Luton. I'm really hoping it's Luton.
John, you mentioned earlier that we've overcome much greater difficulties than the one that we're currently in now, but we overcome it as one, together. I mean, what would your message be, not just to everyone in this room, but to Luton fans? You know, this is going to go out in multiple places. What would your message be to Luton fans for the part that they can play in these last 8 games after the international break to give us the best chance of getting out of this mess?
You know, I think that the football team, let's separate team and club, I think the football team have given you some great moments over the last few years, would you say?
Absolutely.
Promotions, Premier League. Did any of you think 7 years ago you'd be in the Premier League? I don't think so. And you have done. So now the club needs you. Now they need their supporters to get behind them. Minute 1 to minute 95, 96, 97, support your team with everything you've got, even if they're shocking. So when they come off, they're not aggrieved that their support hasn't got behind them. And when they come back out for the next game, give it again. Just give it everything you've got. And that will keep the players on a higher level, knowing that if I make a mistake, no one's going to be shouting and hollering, telling me I'm useless and telling me I can't do this and can't do that. Not always easy to do, because I'm also a supporter of a club, of 2 clubs. But what I'm saying is, your support helped change our season when I was here. Yeah, pulling the supporter off, coming out huddle, be part of the team. All them things, you know, sometimes people don't notice, but they are so massive to players.
Let's get it right, John.
Absolutely.
Let's get it right. You're the guy that changed it, because you recognised the problem and dealt with it. End off.
No, I understand that. I understand that. But I just think that they've given you so much. The club has given you so much. The players that have played for this club through the leagues have given you so much. I don't know if you're going to stay up, but I don't. Right? And I can guess and I can hope and do all that. But I do know that games are won and lost on inches. Seriously. Play a ball a second too quick and it's gone past someone. A second too slow, it's gone behind them. Cross the ball half a second too slow and the forward's going to run past the ball. It's all about inches. Give the boys the inches. Give them everything you've got and just hope that it all falls into place. And you know what? I think it can. So I'll tell you why. Because the supporters of this club have done it before. You can do it again.
That seems like a pretty good place to halt and have a break then. And after we've had a break, everyone get a drink and everything, I'll throw it open to you guys on the floor to ask questions to John. But we'll break for about 20-25 minutes. Raffle tickets are available. Helen is going to come around and sell them. We've got signed football, signed David Pleat book, Luton scarf, Luton mug, gift card, chocolates, lots of raffle prizes, so get your raffle tickets in. Also, during this half-time break, we have a very special person in amongst the audience tonight. Mark Crowther is here. He is walking 1,000,000 steps for 4 fantastic charities this season. He's halfway through that challenge. He's got a QR code which is just at the front of the raffle the raffle prize table over there. If you could spare any pennies for him to help him on his journey, it would be really, really appreciated. Just scan that QR code or speak to the man himself. He's just in the middle here, and he'll be more than happy to take donations for 4 really, really worthy charities. But for now, that's the end of the first part. Thanks, John. Fantastic. So, who wants to lead us off? Hands up, anyone? It would be the furthest one away, H. Unlucky.
Can you repeat the question for the captain?
Who was your favourite player at Luton?
Yeah.
Lloyd Best.
Who was your favourite player, just in case people didn't hear that?
Yeah. You know, I'm really weird. I can't say I've got favourites. Sorry, I can't. Sorry.
Least favourite then?
I might surprise you with, if I was to say this was my favourite player, Matt Robinson. He trained his heart out. Yeah, trained his heart out. Worked incredibly hard in training. If I said to Matt, push up half a yard, he'd go half a yard and a step. If Matt dropped back, he'd drop back. He maximised everything that he had to get into this team. When he had players around him that he wasn't as good as, and that's no disrespect to him, he just done everything that you would expect a professional footballer to do to maximise his ability. Now, it's not to say other players didn't, but I could see it in Matt, and he was so desperate to play. And sometimes, not all the time, sometimes when I knew I wasn't playing him, I didn't want to tell him. Seriously, I didn't want to tell him. And if I knew I wasn't going to play him, the first thing I'd done when I got there was told him. Because if I didn't tell him, I'd find it a bit harder as the time went on to do it. But when I say he's my favourite, it's a difficult one, but favourite and admired, someone making the most of what they've got, and it would be Matt, yeah.
You're a big fan of his music as well.
Sorry?
You're a big fan of his rapping as well.
Anyway, so... But I would say, very talented boy. He's very... My grandkids and my nieces and nephews, have you heard this? I said, no, I haven't heard it. He said, well, he plays football for you. You must have done this. Yeah, so, Matt.
Who's next? Tony, down the front here. Sorry, H.
Got work. Right,
Stand up, man. Stand up. Come on.
Well, I've done enough of that tonight. Yeah, John, one of the things that...
Not kicking you up, are we?
I need somebody to... one of the things that struck me, looking back on your era, was the spirit within the side. And one of the things that said to me that brought it home was after Cameron McGeehan left our club and went to Barnsley, they had that Football League thing where they got players at clubs to wear shirts of the teams they supported. And Cameron had never had anything to do with Luton beforehand. And when you saw pictures of the Barnsley squad, he was wearing a Luton shirt. And that said so much to me. So obviously the team spirit was there, but do you find that the players that you had from that era, do they contact you? Do they ring you up and ask for advice on things like moves and things like that? Do you still have that contact with them?
Yeah. If I look through the team, from back to front, I wouldn't know how many times, I've probably spoke to every single one of them at some time or another. You know, maybe on moves, some people don't play now, obviously, but might be getting into coaching. I speak to Paul Benson quite a bit. I had Paul pre here, didn't I? So that was easy, if you like, to keep that sort of thing. Alex Lawless, who still works here, so I bump into Alex a bit because I go to training ground, not a lot, but now and again with Alex. I've spoke to Steve McNulty countless of times. Scott Griffiths, if I can keep him awake long enough, speaks to me. But Scott lives out near Forest Green area now, but he rings sometimes. Sometimes he wants to go to a game and he says, he rang me once and he lives out near Forest Green. He said, I'm just asking, you wouldn't be going to Cheltenham Saturday's game? I just said, why would I be going to Cheltenham? He said, I just want to go with you if you're going. Ronnie, Ronnie, I'm just going to try to go through it. Luke Gutteridge is an agent now. I see and talk to Luke, you know, a reasonable amount of time. Cully, yeah, speak to him now and again. So most of the players at some time or another, but as you say, there are stages in their careers now where some of them, a lot of them are not playing, but they ask for a bit of advice on, is that a good job to apply for, a coaching job, or can I use you as a reference, and that sort of things. But and I bump into some people don't live that far from me neither. At various places I bump into Alex Wall. He lives he lives a little bit out, but he plays in the area that I live in. So yeah, I would say we've always kept.
That's good, because that says to me it's a huge compliment to you. You know, that players will
That
do.
means they want something. No, you're spot on. Absolutely, but that's not. I'm not saying well done me. That's not exclusive to you. I always think that, you know, when you manage, and you don't. Not everyone likes not playing or whatever. And I always say, players. I don't expect players to particularly like whoever the manager is if they're not playing or whatever. But I think the best managers will have players that respect them. Ain't got to like them, but respect them. Respect is much, much better than like. So I think they do, yeah.
Thank you, Jim.
Who's next? Tony, you can pass that one behind you and to your left. Stand up. Lovely.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Obviously, the conference days were a lot longer than what we probably expected, and we'd fallen short. I know you don't believe in luck, but bad luck and everything else in between. I don't want to mention Jason Walker and probably half a lick of paint. But what was different that season, where they just decided to go out, score 100 goals, 100 plus points? What was the difference between the previous seasons in the conference and that year? What was the mentality change, or what you, excuse the pun, instilled in them to go and do that?
Well, I don't know. As I said, I from going back when I started out managing really young, and found a way of playing that I liked, that suited me, and fortunately it worked. Like how we played, we worked, and I'm going back to, I started managing at 27, I packed up injured, took over a club that I had played for, Leytonstone, that no longer exists. It actually went into becoming a part of Dagenham and Redbridge, but it's another story. And the manager, his wife was ill. I'd packed up playing, and the chairman, who ended up the chairman of Dagenham, said, "Can you do the team till he comes back?" And I said, "No." I said, "No, these are all my mates, I can't manage it. No, just do it till the..." So I did. At the end of the season, we was halfway to the end of the season, we won the league. He said, "Will you carry on doing it?" And I did. And we won the league. And I just had this way of playing that I thought was right for me, not necessarily right for everybody, but it's right for me. And from then I moved on. From there I think I went to Dartford, and we won the league, got the National League, and we come third the first season in it. And I think I left Dartford. I think I went back then to what was Redbridge Forest. Knows more about my career than but I'm saying Redbridge Forest, and we done brilliantly. I think we won the league there. Then eventually I left and went to Maidstone, and in my first year there we won the league. We got in the league, but I left. I had a really by the time I had a really good normal job, proper job. I wasn't a full-time manager, I had a proper job managing a company. And Maidstone were playing their games at Dartford, never had their own ground, they sold their ground. And I wasn't sure it was all going to work. I had a couple of chats with the chairman, and in the end I decided I wasn't going to do it. I was going to keep my job and go back and manage Dagenham, which I did. I don't need to tell me where I went there, I don't know where I went there. But eventually I ended up managing like Dagenham, and for me, in my club, but we won the league. I think we had 2 seasons in Div 2, and then we got promotion to Div 1, which was, I hate to say this, but was the best day of my life. To get into Div 2 at Wembley, into Div 1, winning the playoff final at Wembley, my dad was no longer with us. My dad was a massive Dagenham fan, and it meant everything to me to do that. So that was a bit special. And I stayed at Dagenham for, I think I was back there about 10 years. I think I was the longest serving Football League manager, and I think I was number 3 behind Ferguson and who was Arsenal manager, Wenger. And I was happy there. I was happy there. And then one day this football club rang me up, and I couldn't, as I said, I just felt I couldn't say no. But I just never ever changed the way, modified as time goes on, because times change. I did modify, but never really changed what I wanted to do. And I had sometimes at different times of the season, sometimes someone at the club might go, "Well, we've lost a couple of games, do you think if you put him out there and all that?" And I go, "No, I'm not going to do that. I know what I'm doing, this is what I do, and this is how I do it. If it don't work, that's down to me, that's fine, I've got no issues." But that's what I always done, as I did when I came here. Don't forget, I was second year in the league. I left here. Nothing wrong with that, that's football. I hold nothing against this club because I was treated immaculately from day one till the day I left. They were probably in more of a hurry than me, which is, I understand that as well. If I'd have still been there, the changes that I would have made, I think would have got us going to where, but I knew there would be a time when I would have to change faces, but not change style, but change faces. But that's football, so it's always worked for me wherever I've gone. And so I think that if you ever, it's like this, if you're a gambler and you have a way of winning money, would you change it and start doing something else and losing money? So that's how I've always looked at it. I've had a way of doing it that's been very successful for me, and I like doing it as well. I actually enjoy what I've done, so yeah.
Over there, and then Chappers behind H.
I can't think of any Luton Town manager in my 40 odd years of watching them that's had so many catchphrases. Behind the bar, strong with the team,
Yeah.
control the controllables.
Yeah.
Can't be half pregnant.
One of the things you said when you came to Luton as well was, I want to be a legend at Luton.
Hold my cup.
One of the things you said when you came to Luton is, I want to be a legend at Luton. I think we all agree that you are.
Exactly right.
Did you think about those catchphrases before you said them, or did they just come out?
No. My son's behind, I've said them all my life. Sometimes my wife tells me to shut up, do you know what I'm saying? I was saying something about a cake once.
Yes, front cake.
Yeah, I remember about, but it's just like, I think football is certainly more now, it becomes complicated. It's not a complicated game, but ingredients. And there we are, it's become ingredients. You can have the best ingredients in the world, but if you're missing an ingredient to make something, it's not going to work. And it's really interesting. I said this, I'll say this because I said it the other day to someone that was talking at the South End. They was talking to someone, they was talking rubbish, by the way. So I said to them, "Oh no, a minute." I said, "You're doing all that." I said, "But how are you going to make it work?" Go, "Well, we do." I know, that's not going to make it work. I said, you need something to make it work. And I said to him, go and buy a car, best car you can buy, 35,000, 40,000, 50,000, and you've got the best looking girl you've ever had in your life is going to come with you in the car. And you can't wait to get in there. The car's worth 50,000, 60,000 pounds, and you can't find the key to get in the car. So you're not going to crack it, mate, because you ain't got a key. All the money in the world ain't going to help you, ain't got a key. And that's why those small ingredients, like I said a bit about the kit man at West Ham, it's an ingredient. Every team's got a kit man. But I do know football clubs, no one knows where the kit is, other than the kit man. You don't give no one kit. You have to sign for it, no one gives you. And I just think that sometimes those sounds make the things you're trying to get over a bit simpler. I'm not saying you're simple, I'm just saying, just make it a bit simpler to explain, So,
You still say them now?
yeah. Yeah, absolutely, I do. Yeah.
Did you tell your wife she couldn't be a little bit pregnant?
Yeah, that was one. Yeah. But true.
Absolutely, yeah. Chappers, you next?
Yeah.
Stand up, microphone.
John, you've been a football fan,
Oh, he's a
as
lazy
you
sod, isn't he?
rightfully said, through the years. What player has given you the most pleasure watching down the years, whoever that was? And secondly, as a manager, which player have you signed that has exceeded your expectations by the most?
Player, my favourite player, easily, stands behind you, so I'm not going to embarrass him, stands my son Robert. I'm a West Ham supporter. What do you reckon? Who do you reckon? Who's my favourite ever player? Bobby Moore. Just want to remind everyone he won the World Cup for England. Yeah. So Bobby Moore was just, you know what? Didn't have great pace. Wasn't a great header of the ball. He was just, he glided. He just Rolls Royce. He just, everything that you would expect from the best defender in the world to be able to do, Bobby Moore could do. And I grew up watching Bobby Moore. So I named my son Robert, and I've got 2 daughters. One, my wife twisted my arm so I couldn't do it, but my other daughter I named Allison after Malcolm Allison, because he revolutionised football in those days. He was at Man City and he just changed how the game was played a little bit then, and I loved it. And I went on a course that he was on, and I just loved listening to him as well, you know. So in terms of players, Bobby Moore's just, you know, not by a little bit. There's probably been more entertaining players than Bobby Moore, but I'm just saying he's just unbelievable player. So that's that one. And sorry, the other question was...
Who exceeded your expectations?
Dwight Gale. Signed Dwight Gale from Stansted, Essex Senior League. I'll never forget the day. Someone had told me about this boy scoring goals at Stansted, which is Essex Senior League. I went and watched on a Tuesday night. I got there, as a little coffee hut thing there, and I walked over to it. I noticed this bloke there, tall guy, tall black guy. I turned my hand. I thought, you should play for me. A fella called Devon Gale. I said, Dev, how you doing? He said, oh, John, how you doing here? I went, I don't know if I've come to watch a relative of yours, because I'm putting 2 to 2 together. So I said, Dwight, yeah. I said, is he any good? He went, he scores goals. He said, but I'd score goals here. He said, not 40. He said, so, like, but he's got, and I saw him, and I could have gone home after 15 minutes. It's just his movement and that. And he'd been at Arsenal as a kid, got let go, got disillusioned, went and played with his mates. I took him to Dagenham. He was brilliant. We sold him to Peterborough for good money, but we had 2 sell-ons, so we sold him to Crystal Palace, who sold him to Newcastle, and I think we got something like £4 million over. Did I know he'd play for Newcastle? No, I knew he was a good player. Probably the biggest highlight one is I took Warren Barton from Leighton Orient's youth team when they let him go. Took Warren to Leytonstone. He played for England. So those 2, you know, but I have delved at really lower levels because I love hungry players. Craig, who came here, Craig McCall-Smith, played for Scotland. He was playing for Arsley, which I don't think is that far from here, and just done. But you know, in my own mind, the best, I think someone who might have been the best player was a boy called Solomon Taywu that I took from Dulwich to Dagenham and sold him to Cardiff. We played Cardiff in a League Cup game, and he was the best player on the pitch by a million miles. He ruined their midfield. After the game, the chairman came to see me and said that Cardiff's chairman's pulled him, they want to sign Solomon Taywu. So I said, what do you think he's worth? I said, I don't know, I don't give it any thought. He said, well, we can't go home, he said, till they sign him. I thought, hello, we've had it off here. So I said, tell him 300 grand, this was years ago. He went, they're never going to pay 300 grand. Well, just tell him 300 grand, tell him. 300 grand, come back down, I'll give us 200. I said, no, tell him 300, tell him 300. We sold him for 300 grand. He was unbelievable there. And in his second season, he ripped all of his thigh and his groin area. Never really repaired. He's carried on playing. But if I'd have had to have a bet, he'd have gone from there. Cardiff, I think, were championship. He'd have gone there into what is now the Prem and been a star. He could run, he could tackle, he could pass, he could head, he could organise. He had everything that you would want from a midfield player, and he had unbelievable energy. And when I used to watch Wenger's team, Arsenal, and I used to look at Petit, and who do you have with him?
Yeah,
I used to go, that's Taylor. Seriously, that's how good I thought he was. And that's how good he was for me, and that's how good he was for Cardiff. But as I say, he got a really, really bad injury. It affected his movement and his mobility. And I still speak to him, by the way. I do. I feel that was a career lost, which was good. How good was Taylor, Rob? He was.
Yeah, because you actually bought him here, didn't you? He played here.
He came here.
Yes.
He came here for a little while. Yeah. No, he did. He came for a while here, but his mobility. He played a bit more standing, still pass and still challenge, but he just used to run like I must say almost run through people. He just brushed. Oh, Taylor, he come here. Yeah. So.
As you're at the back, H.
Hi, John.
Stand up.
You worked with Terry Harris for, I think, decades, wasn't it? Obviously at Dagenham, and then you brought him to Newton as well. I'd love to know what he brought to the table and, you know, why you were so successful together and more about your working relationship.
You know what? I speak to him every day. Always have done. Terry, I played against Terry. Terry played for me as well as a player. When I went to Dagenham to manage, I knew Terry and I took him as my number 2 there. Terry's one of these people, I've got to tell you about Terry. If you go into the kitchen in his house and open up, got all the beans there, all the tomatoes there, all the peas there, and they're all in a dead straight line, everything there. Honestly. And I used to go around his house and I used to open and move my arm. And he used to come up and put it back. Seriously. And we used at the training ground, just come to the training ground, I used to be in first. And his desk, so you see this desk here, he'd have all the pens here, he'd have a book there, he'd have another book there, he'd have like things where players were on transfer there, he'd have everything like that. So going like put them all over the place. And he'd come in and he'd go, how childish. And he'd put them all back in order. And he used to make me laugh every day. And when we used to talk, so we sit down and we talk about football. And this is a joke, by the way, but this is how it used to go. I go, so what do you reckon, Tel? What do you reckon to do Saturday? He went, you know, so-and-so, do you think if we pushed him a little bit higher and he dropped a bit deeper, and then we would get out on the right, can you cross it early and do that? And I go, yeah, okay. And he'd be talking for 20 minutes, and I go, no, I'm not doing that, Tel. And he just used to laugh. And even now, he's the nicest, most honest, kindest man I've ever known in my life. I feel stupid saying this, but I actually miss him. I miss him being around me, because if someone tapped me on the shoulder now, and God's truth, never going to happen, but if they did, John, you're manager of Manchester United tomorrow, first call's Terry Harris, come with me. Mate, honest, loyal, hard-working, funny, and just everything that you would want from someone that you're going to work with is Terry Harris. Yeah, so what's Terry doing? I don't know exactly what he's doing now, but I think he might be rearranging the peas and tomatoes.
I saw the service station last year.
Terry has been at Dullies with Hack, but they've gone from there. But watch this space, they may be starting a new job next week. So just watch it. I hope.
Who's next? Andy, wait for the microphone.
I don't need the mic now. No. Thanks. When we did at Sarah's little, come on, my age, I've got to get back down there.
I'll go on now.
We put a little montage of your sayings together, which I told you about earlier, which is on YouTube. And one of the sayings was you wanted every player that you had at that time to look at the end of their career and say, I was a Luton player, which is, to some extent...
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
And did they? And do they?
You know what? I think they do. You know, I used to have this thing. Players play for different clubs, don't they? You know, and you get associated with different. If people talk about Roy Keane, they go Manchester United. They don't really talk about Nottingham Forest, do they? And Celtic. They don't really talk that. Anyway, so my thing is that if they go away from here and the first time they're asked, so who you played for, the first team they mention is Luton. That's what I want. That means it meant something to them. Yeah. That's big. I think for me. That's,
absolutely. Have you got Andre Gray's telephone number?
I have.
Might come in useful.
Just to confirm that, I saw Jonathan Smith, he was commentating at Burnley, what would that have been, 2 weeks ago. I always speak to him anyway, I've got on well with him when he was here. The first thing he asks me is about Luton, and he's a Preston fan, so very much got one there with Smudge, that's for sure. Just here, H.
I'd firstly like to say, from my perspective, and I'm sure everybody here, that you were the person who turned the club around. We had 4 or 5 years of struggling, getting lower and lower down the conference, and I think a lot of us thought we're always going to be the big club, we're always the team that people are going to want to beat, and every match was so much harder, and that then led to a lot of animosity between supporters, which again you dealt with. So on behalf of everyone, I'd like to say thanks for everything you've done. I truly believe you've done a great job. And going on from what Andy's saying, one of the keys obviously was Andre Gray. And again, you saying about a player you developed, he went on to reach heights, I think, that we would never had. Again, the goals he scored, they were the key to getting us promotion. So your views about how Andre progressed, were you aware of him at Hinckley? Were we lucky that we played him in the trophy?
I won't say he was lucky that he played in the trophy. Andre, I didn't know. I knew Andre before I come here. I'd seen him play once for Luton. I didn't know him from Hinckley. I'll be honest, I didn't. I think it was maybe the year I came, or it might have been the year before. I sent one of my scouts to watch a game here. Luton again, I can't remember who it was, but not to watch Luton, to watch a centre half for somebody else. And they come back, I said, the centre half do? He went, not for us. So I said, all right. He said, but Luton have got a player, Andre Gray. So I was aware of Andre Gray. And I didn't see him play before I come, other than some clips someone showed me of him. Strong, powerful. So I knew when I come here that he had something. And he had more than something. Him, I think he found a mate in Benson, Paul Benson. I think that was like, and Andre he's a great guy. Really is, very humble, very hard working. Someone that's made the best of his career. I love that when someone, I hate to see people, you know that they're really good players, never reach the level, but he's gone and played in the Premier League, scored goals in the Premier League. How great's that? How great that you can look back, you as a supporter, me as a manager, say, look at these players that have gone on and played. We must have done, not me, we must have done something right. And the kind things you said about me are really, really kind, but trust me when I say this, never ever on my own, never without you, it wouldn't be possible, never. I needed Terry Harris, I needed the physio, I needed you supporters, without one of those components, like the key to open the car, it might never have happened. And never believe, ever at one moment, ever, have I ever looked at it and thought like, John Still, yeah, I've done that. I've never done that, because I know what's important in life. I was brought up, I think, properly. Mum and Dad taught me the right way to live and the right way to be respectable to people, to be honest, to be hard working. So I know I've got all them values. We were East End people, like some of the people, we didn't have anything. But we all worked hard and we all made something. but never on our own, never without help from people. And what all of you supporters gave the club every week was support. And you're still doing it. I was here for 3 years, not 30 years. So never ever think that what you've done isn't as much as I've done. I'm telling you. Everybody's done it, mate. Everyone. But I appreciate your words.
Good evening, Mr Still.
Good evening. Don't owe you money, do I?
My daughter's very poorly in hospital and she sent me a text message tonight to ask you. So her favourite player of Luton Town is Craig Smith, who has gone out of his way. My daughter has learning difficulties as well. He's gone out of his way to keep posting or messaging her with words, empowering words to turn around, keep her motivated and keep her going. And as you say, he always talks about Luton Town, and he always asks my daughter how Luton are getting on, although his first love obviously is Peterborough.
Yes, of course.
But so what made you sign Craig Smith and bring him to Luton Town? That's the question for my daughter. Thank you.
It's a difficult one because having had Craig do fantastic for me and seeing him go on and have the career he had at Peterborough, in our second season in the league, I'm big on young, hungry players, and I wanted to keep with that. I was fully aware at that time that we had Pelly, we had Potsy, we had Jack Marriott. Who's the young fullback went to Leicester who was coming through? James Justin coming through. So in my mind, I'm thinking I'm now going to get a new group, but I'm probably going to need a touch more experience around it. I brought Craig in. Was Craig a gamble? Yeah, he was a gamble, but it's a gamble I was prepared to take because he'd had a bad injury at Peterborough, Brighton, yeah. And I also brought in a Derry Pelly from Brighton as well. And I think Craig took a while to get going, and I don't think he reached the levels that's not down to him because I brought him in, it's down to me. So I'm not sure that they were my two best signings, but that's okay because they did bring something. They brought a level of experience and knowledge to pass on. And so when we got to a stage where I knew myself that this isn't going to work this year, I've now got a plan for next year, by which time I was off, so that was fine. But those players were brought in to perhaps give us something that I felt we needed with some of the young ones around them, and in a way I think they did give those young ones something, because Jack turned into a very good player, a very good player. You sold Cam, didn't he? Went Barnsley, was it? Went Barnsley. Potsy progressed and played Prem. Did he play?
He's in the squad, please.
Yeah, and played in the come on in the playoff final.
Scored the winner.
Yeah. So everyone went on to contribute to what I was hoping would happen. But football being football, that didn't happen for me, but it happened for someone else. So that's great for the club. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
And can you, because I don't do so, if you ask my son, I can't even use my phone, trust me. Could you give your daughter my sincere best wishes, please? Thank you.
Thank you.
Do a little video.
Yeah, just send us some. I'll come and speak to you.
Video message.
Yeah,
Okay, time's getting on a bit, so let's do 3 more questions. John, and then the 2 behind them, H.
Right.
Keep it quick though, John.
Right, moving on then.
Too late now.
I've already done that one. John, yeah, just obviously with the photo of your the award you was given by the Luton Borough Council as the freedom of the borough. Did you get all the benefits of being able to go into various pubs and be bought a pint? And various other things you get included in that list?
What's the other things? Wherever I've been in Luton that someone knows who I am, I've always been well received. I mean, that was incredible honour. And I said, I am lucky. I got one of these at Dagenham as well when we won the league, and people think, oh, that he's got that, but it's wonderful. It's great. You know what? Whoever you are, there's no one. I'll carry on. No one can say they don't like being told well done and good, and of course we all do, and I do, and that. But to get an award like that is special. That something like that will go beyond me, won't it? To my kids, to my grandkids, and so yeah, so it's special.
Yeah,
very special.
So when you go in the pub in Luton any time, we bought one. We bought a pint.
Can you make sure about that? Because
I'll buy you one. Yeah, well done.
Thank you.
Person behind John, Helen. And then the person next to you, if you just give the mic.
I think we're going to ask the same question anyway. John, the one thing, we were chatting earlier about memories from that season, and we both came up with the same one. Hideaway, I think, typified that season, the team, but typified you as a man as well. Putting Jonathan Smith on the bench after, when we were driving to Barnet, the game he actually broke his leg, we were in the car and we're saying, who would be the one player that we would miss this season? And we all said Jonathan Smith. And then when that happened, it was kept quiet that he was actually going to be on the bench. We certainly didn't know when we got there. The fact that he was on the bench gave everyone, I mean, we were on a high anyway, but the fact that he was on the bench, then you brought him on. Is it true that you told him, don't go near the ball?
Yeah. As soon as like that game was coming and I would look at this, I think I'm sure I phoned Terry. I was indoors probably on the evening before the game. I said, Terry, what about Jonathan Smith tomorrow? He went, can't play Jonathan Smith, we never do 90 minutes. No, shut up, Terry. Just bring him on for a minute. Just bring him on for a couple of minutes. He went, yeah, well, someone smashes him. I said, it's more likely that he'll smash them. I said, no, I'm going to do it, but let me have a chat with him and tell him. I said, Smudge, you're going on, don't dare go near the ball. Just keep away from the ball. Just go on and get the respect of the supporters and that you deserve. And it's important. That's important. Really, really important. And yeah, that's you're absolutely right with it. Yeah.
Nice quote in there as well.
One last question then. Who wants it? Anyone? Yeah, they go now. Try it that corner.
John, what's the best piece of advice you've ever given in football?
Best bit of advice. Score 30 goals a season, you'll never get dropped. I don't know. Or keep playing rubbish, you ain't going to play. I don't know. Best bit of advice. I think the advice that you give seriously to most people is, I always say, go out. You can't do better than your ability and your attitude allows you to, but never come off thinking you could have done more. When you come off, say, look, we've lost, I could not have done more. You can only do your best, can't you? All of us, we can only do our best. And as long as your team goes out and you think everyone has given everything they've got, but they've been a bit better than us today, that's football. We have to hold our hands up. So.
Exactly right.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've got the raffle still to do, but before we do that, this guy alongside me has been very humble tonight. The word legend gets bandied around a lot in football, but this guy is a true legend of this football club. So a round of applause for the great John.